Hello, English 102. This is your instructor, Russ T.D. with this week's webcam. I'm here to talk to you about the first draft. First draft of the research paper is going to be a rather lengthy assignment for you. However, if you begin early and ask questions as you go along, I encourage you to work as hard as you possibly can to complete this assignment successfully. Once again, beginning early, asking questions can help you facilitate good results as far as this paper. Starting the research paper with the introduction, I'll go over a few techniques with you. Your handout will mention several introduction ideas, including quotation, question, opinion opposite, short narrative, interesting fact, explanation of a term, paradox, and analogy. Each of these techniques can be used in your introduction. In addition, you can combine them. When you begin with a quotation, make sure it's relevant to your paper. Begin with a question or series of questions. Again, important that they're relevant to your paper. Opinion opposite that you plan to take, make sure it's completely understandable to the reader why you're beginning with this opposite opinion so that there is no confusion. Short narrative can work, as well as interesting fact or facts. Explaining a terminology unfamiliar to your reader helps in the introduction so that you orient the reader. A paradox and analogy, for those of you creative writers, will work as techniques in your introduction. But once again, if you're not the creative writing type, I suggest one of the earlier techniques. Body paragraphs and integrating sources, specifically dealing with unity and coherence. You want to move through your paper in a logical way. Basically, uniting each paragraph, in other words, keeping the main points together, is very important. Topic sentences at the beginning of the paragraphs, supporting details directly relevant to the topic sentences, perhaps concluding sentences or transition sentences depending on your next point. Make sure they're all in each body paragraph. Coherence, making it clear what you're doing in your paragraphs. Repeating key words, using pronouns for important nouns, demonstratives, and establishing logical order, all can work in establishing coherence. Making it clear to your reader what you're doing in your paragraphs is very important, especially in a research paper. A couple of more items include transitional words and adequate development. Make sure that you include the transitions in your SF writer to help you explain preceding sentences so that it can link the paragraphs as well. Developing, fulfill what you promise in each topic sentence of your paragraphs. Remember, your paragraphs need topic sentences supporting details and either a concluding sentence or a transition, depending on whether you're going to further your point or start a new point. Okay? Integrating sources, make sure that you use your sources as support for your insights, but not as the backbone of your paper. An entire paper full of quotes will not probably include any personal viewpoints regarding your paper, and also not stand up when it comes to arguing your point. Try not to use direct quotes as fillers, in other words. Make sure you summarize points needing only summarize. Paraphrase when you want to explain things more implicitly and explicitly. Quotations can also add support to your arguments. If multiple sources are saying the same thing, summarize the overall point in each of the sources. When you do use quotes, make sure to integrate them. Good rule to remember is the intro and conclusion to a quote. In other words, each time you add a quote, include an introduction and a conclusion. Hopefully this introduction and conclusion are at least twice or more times as long as the quote itself. Dropping a quote into a paper without an introduction and a conclusion to the quote will distract the reader. Next, the conclusion. Try not to depend on your conclusion to sum up your paper. Your conclusion basically restates your thesis and argues for a need for a solution to your societal problem. You can mention that the problem is still open-ended and further research is required. You can propose natural next steps regarding how to solve your societal problem, and make sure that you do not, for example, end with a quotation or any other of the intro techniques that could be distracting to your reader. Your paragraphs need to flow naturally toward the conclusion of your paper. Some of the components mentioned for the first draft include intro, body, conclusion, citations, works cited, outline. 1,000 words for the first draft. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions.